We welcome you to the orientation of teacher education institutions on the Matatag Curriculum Part 1 as part of our National Teachers Month celebration. This is co-delivered by the Teacher Education Council and the Philippine Normal University. And to discuss the features of Matatag curriculum, the science of learning, and collaborative expertise practices, we have with us the Senior Program Manager of the Institute for Teacher Quality from the Philippine Normal University. We have Dr. Brando C. Palomar.
Good morning, everyone. I hope my audio is clear on your end, and thank you very much for giving us this opportunity to share with you what we have found on our research study, particularly on the implementation of the Matatag curriculum during its first year. Okay, let me share with you my presentation. I just wanted to verify if you are seeing uh, a presentation mode of my multimedia as of this time.
Yes po.
Okay, thank you very much. So again, let me extend my warmest congratulations to everyone, and I'd like to greet you blissful and blessed National Teachers Month celebration. And this is part of our activity of extending our appreciation to our dearest teachers. So for this morning, let me provide you the outline of our presentation. Maybe this will run for 2 to 3 hours, and I hope you will be with us. Okay. Let me request everyone to kindly type 1 if you are excited, and type 0 if you are having some other items. Okay. Okay, nice to see that we are all in one for this orientation on the Matatag curriculum. So I'll be presenting to you the features of the Matatag curriculum, and then it will be followed by discussions on the principles of the science of learning and how it is being translated in instruction, particularly in the Matatag curriculum implementation, and the significance of doing collaborative expertise sessions as what we retrieve not only on the documents or studies have shown to us about teacher efficacy, collective teacher efficacy, but also what is happening on the ground, what we retrieve on our field work across 35 schools in the 7 regions who piloted the implementation of the Matatag curriculum. Okay, thank you very much. So let me emphasize that what we are sharing with you are part of the results and the understanding of the Research Institute for Teacher Quality as our way of supporting the pilot implementation of the Matatag curriculum. The RITQ supported the endeavor of DepEd in implementing Matatag curriculum through the development of learning resources, which are a form of extended lesson components developed through the learning camps that was established by the Department of Education. What are the ideas of the Office of the Undersecretary for Curriculum and Teaching? At the same time, what have been um, um, results of the RITQ's fieldwork activities. So this is a way for us to integrate the principles of science of learning into the different lesson components of the resource materials that are being used right now by our different schools in the Department of Education. And at the same time, this is our good way of seeing the alignment of what are the expected items given to us or expected competencies needed by our teachers to demonstrate in teaching, and what should be the translation of this learning into the actual learning progress of our students. The second layer of the support of RITQ to the Matatag curriculum implementation is the conduct of the formative evaluation process. Particularly, this item gives us the impression on how the teachers are using the developed learning resource package and how they are conducting their collaborative expertise sessions so that we can provide them some forms of recommendations and improvements on how we can really maximize the use of collaborative expertise sessions. And we also look into different instructional practices and instructional leadership, okay, demonstrated by our Matatag pilot school teachers and school heads. So to give you an overview of the Matatag curriculum as our first part of this session, let me take you back in 2012 when the Philippines had a nationwide implementation of the K-12 basic education program. And we highlighted 6 major features of the K-12 basic education program. Okay. And part of it is the implementation also of grades 11 and 12, which is now defined or described as the senior high school. So we see that starting school year 2012-2013, the first batch of the K-12 um, was observed in grades 1 and 7, and then when we entered when we entered school year 2016 to 2017, that's the start that
Recording in
we
progress.
implemented the um, senior high school program. Okay. As a recap, we do understand that the idea of providing or implementing the K-12 is our response to both local and global needs and demands, with our mission of strengthening the values of the Filipino people, developing strong sense of nationalism, and developing them to be productive citizens, and making sure that they have the awareness, and not only awareness, but also of practices on environmental sustainability and global partnership. Okay. However, at the same time, the main goal of the K-12 program is to equip every Filipino learners with the basic skills and competence anchored with the 21st century skills. And as mentioned, this is our way to ensure that the basic education of the Philippines is of equal leverage to international standards. I myself is a testament of this, that we really needed additional 2 years program in our basic education so that we can fully be accepted to our postgraduate programs if we wanted to do it on an international university. Now, however, the K-12 also face a lot of challenge. Okay, particularly as mentioned in different literature, that there are no improvement in the Filipino learners' academic performance, both in national and international standardized assessments. And as we progress through our understanding on teaching and learning, we were able to identify, and we were able to look into significant literature that describes the nature of learners nowadays and the processes of learning. And we can also add up the what we experienced during the pandemic. So we already experienced a lot of shift, a lot of understanding nowadays on how we should teach and how our students are learning. And at the same time, the alarming conditions of our Filipino learners in terms of their academic performance. So with these kind of challenges, the Department of Education introduced, okay, to us the Matatag agenda with the banner of Bansang Makabayan, okay, Batang Makabansa. That this agenda are translated into 4 critical components. First is to make the curriculum more relevant, to produce competent and job-ready, active, and responsible citizens. And we have to take steps in order to accelerate the delivery of basic education facilities and services. The third item is to take good care of our learners by promoting their well-being, not only including and integrating the principles of inclusive education, but practicing it, and also promoting and enhancing positive learning environment. And last is really to give support to our teachers in order for them to teach better, because we do understand that if we are great teachers or if we are good teachers, we wanted other teachers to be good. Therefore, part of it is really providing support in any forms that will provide them a way of capacitating and also enhancing their own teacher agencies. Okay. Now, what prompted us to really go into Matatag? We have to realize that nowadays, particularly after the pandemic, we were confronted that there is now a shift. There is now a change on the demands of the future in the ever-changing landscape of the world. First, there is a need to develop strong information literacy skills. Nowadays, the workforce demands for updating the digital skills related to addressing related issues, and at the same time, balancing the digital engagement with other life facets. We experienced that particularly on the pandemic and even on the post-pandemic era. Okay. And lastly, we wanted that industries nowadays also give emphasis on cultural awareness. And with the advent of technology, we were given the impression that we are interconnected. Okay. Thus, we have to ensure that we have the understanding of global citizenship. Okay, so that's the first driver why DepEd really push to come up with the Matatag curriculum. The second item is about the quality of students' learning, which are a very good set of indicators and how the results are giving us the impression, the quality of instruction that we have to provide to our students. As mentioned in this slide, that student learning assessment data is considered as one of the triggers for curriculum review and recalibration. So both local or national and even international examinations provided us this kind of concern that in the case of ELNAM, okay, there are many issues, concerns need to address in English, Filipino, mother tongue, and math. And in the past 4 years of the results of the National Achievement Test, it gives us a sense that there is a need to have a collective and deliberate effort of addressing systematic issues. And particularly on the National Achievement Test provided to our senior high school students, it yielded or give us an impression that there are other skills of the 21st century skills that are described to be low proficient, particularly the information literacy skills and the critical thinking skills. Now, at the same time, if we're going to magnify the results of the International Large Scales Assessment, it's also echoing what the PISA has mentioned, that Filipino participants fared poorly, particularly in the 2019 teams and the 2019 CPLM. So, CPLM is already an assessment given to Southeast Asian learners because we wanted to come up with a more contextualized set of competencies. And even the CPLM results give us this kind of impression that Filipino learners needed to double time of ensuring that they are really learning that much. Okay, so aside from that, we all know that in the cycle of curriculum development, part of it is their curriculum review. And as mentioned, this is part of DepEd's commitment. Commitment on what? Commitment to ensure that we are targeting what we already identified as our set of objectives, ensuring that we are also promoting and ensuring that learners are really learning, and ensuring that the kind of quality of curriculum that we are providing to our students are of good quality, na yun yung kailangan natin ng ating mga kabataan, di ba? So with that, let us emphasize the different review process done by DepEd. So they have reviewed the intended curriculum, which is focusing on the articulation of the learning competencies within and across learning areas. Excuse me for that. They also conducted review on the implemented curriculum, which explore different factors that influences teachers' capability in teaching, at the same time, factors influencing students' learning. And last will be more of the review of the tested curriculum, which explore the extent on how much our learners have realized and learned, okay, through national achievement tests, particularly on grades 3, 6, 10, and senior high school. So in that context, dear teachers, you can see on the right part of my presentation the different highlights of the different review processes DepEd conducted, particularly on some significant issues and concerns that prompted why DepEd really needed to undergone a curriculum recalibration. Okay, so with that, we were able to identify that the Matatag curriculum sets, again, the learning standards into two major forms. We have the content standards, which identify and set of essential knowledge and understanding what our learners needed to learn. And the performance standards are the abilities and skills that needed for them to demonstrate. That's a form of um, transfer of knowledge of transfer of knowledge related to the identified content standards. Okay, as mentioned in DepEd Order 2019, collectively, these curriculum standards ensure that there should be a mastery of concepts, skills are attained, and lifelong learning are developed among our graduates, which we are preparing them for possible for exit, okay, curriculum exits. So these are the things that we have to ensure. Okay. Now, based on the review process done by DepEd, they were able to identify the new features of the Matatag curriculum. We focus on the congested curriculum. Okay. We also emphasize on foundational skills. There are clearer articulation of 21st century skills in different learning areas. We intensified values education and peace education, where values education is given equal number of learning hours or period with respect to other learning areas. We also try to strengthen literacy and numeracy, particularly in Key Stage 1. That's why there is this national reading program and national mathematics program, redefining the interplay among languages, particularly focusing on how MTBLE programs are implemented and how it is used as a form of instructional medium. We redesigned the kindergarten curriculum, particularly focusing on 5 learning themes. Emerging concepts in MAPE, we emphasize that particularly in Key Stage 2 and 3, and emphasizing the value of tech voc, livelihood specialization, and redesigning the Araling Panlipunan curriculum. So these are the major features of the Matatag curriculum. So we started the implementation of the Matatag curriculum this school year 2024-2025 on kinder, grades 1, grade 4, and grade 7. However, last year, we conducted a pilot study with 35 schools across 7 regions in the Philippines, covering all school typologies from very large schools to large, medium, small, and very small schools. There are also schools that are described to be mass last mile school, I mean to say. So there are schools offshore and even on top of the mountains, and these schools were visited by our team. Okay, di umano pumunta ang aming team para malaman at ma-document ang kanilang mga sinasagawang instructional practices, challenges, and concerns sa pag-implement po ng ating Matatag curriculum. And the results were used or will be used, okay, in order to further refine the implementation of the succeeding year levels. And right now, the 35 schools are still are ongoing their pilot implementation for grades 2, 5, and 8, which on the next year, next academic year, will be realized across the Philippines. And on academic year 2016-2017 will be for grades 3, 6, 9. And then for 2017 to 2018, this will be set for grade 10. Okay, what I am sharing with you are all parts of the general shaping paper of DepEd's Matatag curriculum. Now, another item that we part of the inclusion in the Matatag curriculum is the conduct of collaborative expertise session. This is an iteration of the Learning Action Cell of the Department of Education, where here teachers are addressing instructional challenges and they are sharing their best practices. This is a good way that teachers are giving support to each other as they are implementing the new curriculum. In this manner also, we were able to document how teachers are adapting and contextualizing the developed lesson exemplars because they have realized that they have to reshape and recalibrate the lesson exemplars based on the nature of their learners, particularly how their learners are prepared in understanding more complicated concepts. Okay. And then teachers and school heads have this kind of develop this sense of sharing accountability in identifying challenges at the same time in providing solutions and interventions. So there is a more inclusive experience or belongingness of teachers and school heads, that the challenge that they are encountering is not really an isolated case, but it's everybody's concern. Okay, so that's part of the the situation that we were able to look as part of the results of our field research activities. Now, if we focus on the instructional design framework of the key of the Matatag curriculum, we wanted to emphasize that the curriculum still is described and defined and projected to be learner-centered, developmentally appropriate, and it also emphasizes the principles of inclusion. Okay, thus, the curriculum still provided us a good way to promote and to use, okay, different instructional frameworks, okay, such as constructivist, inquiry-based, reflective, collaborative, and integrative, which are the real essence of the implementation of the curriculum. Okay. Now, in that context, okay, let me just quickly discuss, okay, the different principles and key aspects at the same time, some concerns, okay, in the instructional design framework of the Matatag curriculum. On the instructional principles, we wanted to emphasize that learning or meaningful learning should be accessible to all forms of learners. Okay, that's the first part of the instructional principles, having the good sense of inclusivity. The second one is we wanted to foster students' creativity and imagination, and we bank on the idea that students come to our class with their prior experiences. Thus, their prior experiences must be meaningful. Okay. So the ideational context should be really evident in our instruction. Okay. That students are allowed to really look and provide us creative ways on and means or processes on how they are going to learn and provide criticisms. Second one, the third one is more of integrating the different elements of what they have learned, maybe from the previous days or previous learning quarters, and even into different learning areas. That's why in some of our interviews with the teachers from the pilot schools or schools involved in the pilot implementation, there are experiences where they try to communicate their concerns with other learning areas, like English and Filipino teachers are discussing how they can come up with a unified learning material or learning activities. The same thing for social science and values education teachers. So there's an element of integration across learning areas. And the fourth item is we wanted our students really to go out of the box, think out of the box, and go beyond the horizons of what they are seeing right now and be more innovative. This is a good way for them to explore creative ways of designing and for us to look into the manner that we will be reinventing our delivery of instruction. The next item here, based on the instructional design framework, is the idea of context, connection, collaboration, and creativity. So we look again into the background or setting of our learners, how these prior knowledge and prior experiences, okay, will provide us a good leverage on how they will be learning new learning experiences into connections, okay, of how from simple activity to a moderate level of difficulty to a more difficult learning activity are connected to one another. From what they have learned in previous days are still evident and essential to the lesson for today. These are things that are emphasized on the lesson design in the Matatag curriculum. And then also we operate on the idea that students learn most if they work together. That's why collaboration are still emphasized. And we, again, as mentioned in the instructional principles, creativity is really enhanced, okay, where we set our students to use their imagination and critical thinking to come up with a more meaningful learning experiences. Now, on the essential facets of learning, we look into the engage, explore, experience, and empathize, translated into different aspects of instructional flow. Okay, maybe in 5 E's, okay, or 7 E's. But what's more important is that these four facets of learning are emphasized. We engage our students. We provide them learning engagement to explore. We wanted them to really experience how they will able to apply their knowledge in new contexts, in new situations, and to empathize, where we wanted our students to also look into their own needs. Okay, that's why it is also essential that we have to realize mistakes along the way when we are teaching, particularly on students' mistakes, why they committed this kind of mistakes, and how we can process so that they can able to correct their mistakes. Okay, now looking into the assessment, feedback, and reflection, the instructional design framework of the Matatag curriculum emphasizes, again, as stipulated in DepEd Order 8, 2015, the policy guidelines on classroom assessment. Okay, we still emphasize the principles of formative assessment and summative assessment, but we wanted also to reinforce the principles and the mechanisms for teachers to provide feedback, okay, and for teachers to reflect, okay, on the delivery of our instruction. So again, still we emphasize on the principles of formative and summative assessment, why we are providing this. But at the same time, we wanted that our teachers would really also emphasize the practice, okay, of providing significant feedback and also conducting self-reflection. Okay, so those are the different items, okay, as identified in the instructional design framework of the Matatag curriculum. And as mentioned, these items are part of the general shaping paper of the Matatag curriculum. Now, from the theoretical perspective, we go now to the second part, which is dealing with the what, why, and how of the science of learning in the Matatag lesson design. Again, we now transition to what is expected to our teachers and learners. Okay. Now, so if we are asked again of what are the features of Matatag curriculum, we can sum it up based on the Matatag agenda. Okay, that it has four critical components. Okay, making sure that the curriculum is relevant, accelerating the delivery of the basic education facilities and services, taking good care of our learners, and giving support to our teachers. Now, the features, as mentioned earlier, focus on foundational skills, decongestions, balanced cognitive demands, clearer articulation of 21st century skills across different learning areas, reduction of learning areas. Then we emphasized earlier the intensified values education and strengthening peace education. And as mentioned, we also benchmark, okay, the curriculum with international standards. So with that, we would like to ask the question, what are the implications of these features? Okay. Now, particularly when we unpack and when we unpack the curriculum and its implication to our teaching. Now, if we look into this matrix, okay, as mentioned in the previous slides, okay, the features of the curriculum, of the Matatag curriculum, are the following: the reduction of number of competencies and the introduction of new subject matter in grade levels, and there is now a new sequencing on content ordering. Okay, so with this kind of features, dear teachers, what are its good, how do we make good sense of these features of the Matatag curriculum? So we'll look into the implications of the content implications to content and skills unpacking. Therefore, we have to emphasize that there is a need to unpack the content and skills through identifying prior conceptual understandings and prerequisite skills. Di ba po? So, my background is into physics education. Therefore, if I'm going looking into the content standards and the performance standards of the K-12 science curriculum and focusing on the discussion of projectile motion. Therefore, part of the prior conceptual understanding and prerequisite skills, okay, that my students needed to demonstrate are their understanding on uniform motion and their understanding on uniformly accelerated motion, where we have also to recall them that motions can be in two dimension, in X and Y. Before, okay, I will be able to teach thoroughly and meaningfully the different concepts and mathematical processes of projectile motion. So there should be that kind of understanding for teachers, for us to unpack content and skills which we identify in the context of prior knowledge and prerequisite skills. Then we also need to link content and skills complexity to time allotment, okay, in of the lesson. We do understand that it is very rigorous to really implement, for example, all uh, the based on 5 E's, we have engage until evaluation. And it is too difficult for us really to implement all those phases of instructional model. So however, we do understand that learning takes time also. Therefore, in that idea, dear teachers, we were given the impression that learning of students should be incremental and should be developmental. Okay. So there, as mentioned here, there is a need to link content and skill complexity to time. Therefore, we provide more time for our students really to do understand the concept and to realize the different processes, okay, that are targeting, that are part of our target competencies. Okay. Later, you will see in our lesson design, okay, how these implications are being translated in the Matatag lesson design. Okay, another forms or features of the Matatag curriculum is there is a need to broaden and deepen concepts and the good sense of 21st century approach in the more practical manner. Therefore, it's the implications to teachings are the following. We need to integrate strategies that will help teachers facilitate deepening understanding, the need to provide support in teaching critical thinking and problem solving, and the need to make explicit learners' reflection on learning and teachers' reflection on practice. So we see there that there are three major implications. Okay, there should be a good sense how teachers will deepen their how teachers will deepen the understanding of students, how the teachers will assist students in enhancing their critical and problem-solving skills. At the same time, how students should reflect, okay, on their learning and teachers reflect on their teaching. Okay, so again, because the features of Matatag curriculum is that there will be broadening and deepening of concepts and the practical approach of 21st century, then there should be mechanisms for these three implications as applied in the design of the lesson design of the Matatag curriculum. So the next question is, how can we teach the curriculum? So based on those features and implications, okay, the answer for those questions is by integrating the principles of science of learning in the lesson design. So we look and these principles, okay, as presented in the left side of our presentation, focusing on building from learners' prior knowledge, preparing learners for new content, developing and deepening understanding through work, example, and deliberate practice, making learners' metacognition visible, assessing acquired knowledge and skills formatively, and empowering teachers through reflection on and for practice. So these six principles, okay, as product of science of learning are highly integrated in the lesson design, okay, of our Matatag curriculum. As what you have seen on the right side of our presentation in section 3 of the lesson design, we emphasize the idea of activating prior knowledge, establishing lesson purpose. There are sections where we requested our teachers to experience ways and mechanisms on how to develop and deepen understanding, and to make some forms of generalization. Again, these are already part of our practices. Okay, some of us are already integrating these into our practices, but we are structuring them collectively so that we can come up with a collective effort of reinventing our instructional practices. So the question is, what is science of learning? Okay. Science of learning, as mentioned here, is the cognitive science. Okay. It's a collection of evidences based on cognitive science on how students learn and connected with instructional implications of that science. Okay. So we see here that the science of learning provided us evidences on how students learn best and what teaching practices are and are not likely to lead to effective learning for students. Actually, when being part of this project, I was able to reflect that there are circumstances, there are prior experiences, okay, where I had this kind of teaching practices that has little effect, okay, to my students' learning. But I found it initially that it is good and fun, but again, fun and good experience is not being translated into meaningful and good academic achievement of my students. Okay, so we have to recalibrate our practices because there are teaching practices that are, okay, likely lead effective learning for our students, and there are teaching practices that are not likely to lead effective learning for our students. That's why learning, as defined here, is a process and as an end result, and giving us a good sense of strong link on how our brain is said to be working and doing some cognitive procedures, okay, which are have this kind of implication that we have to reensure that our understanding and practice of teaching are anchored, okay, to how the brain is functioning. Okay. Now, let me also emphasize that in the science of learning, we look into instructional implications of how students are learning. Okay. And at the same time, we look into learning itself. Okay. And as I mentioned earlier, there is this strong link, okay, of the brain and cognitive procedures, and um, influences the way we teach and we understand teaching. Okay. Now, so part of the principles of cognitive science is the idea that the brain growth is developmental in nature. Okay. And saying that it grows, but the growth of the brain is based on the increased interconnectivity of our brain neurons. I guess our friends in biology and in medicine can further explain to us myelination as a process of how the brain is working, where our neurons are interconnected. So the more interconnections of our neurons, okay, or the more neuron networks are there, it gives us a good sense that the brain is said to be growing. Okay. So yun yung isa sa mga dapat natin maintindihan. Kaya nga po, di ba, teachers, kung tayo ay naligaw, okay, this is a very practical application of that. Initially, we have this kind of anxiousness because we are not familiar on this route. However, after looking into the good way out of that experience, we were able to come up with another neural network on our brain that if we are going here, but we were able to navigate it also in different direction, that experience provided a new form of neural networking to our brain. Therefore, in that sense, the brain is said to be growing. So part of the implication of this one is to provide varied but repetitive learning experiences to our students. Okay. Now, we also have the idea as based on what we have discussed that learning ability through establishing neural networks in the brain, okay, in the process of myelination is said to be evident, okay, in the context of executive functioning, okay, where we see that, as I mentioned earlier, the more robust and the more connections of the neural networks are there in our brain will provide a good sense of learning ability to our students. Okay, but we have to recognize also this, dear teachers, that um, as students are learning, and even right now, that while you are listening to us, our brain is said to be functioning in three basic function: encoding what I am saying, storing, okay, and at the same time retrieving. Okay, so in this context, dear teachers, as of this time, maybe you are using your working memory, but be reminded that our working memory is has I mean to say the working memory has a very limited storing capacity. Okay, sabi nga dito, limited subject to cognitive overload. Therefore, the more information that we are uh, we are receiving, okay, and then if there are some physiological and psychological conditions that we are experiencing right now, therefore, there are some forms of limitations on how you will be retrieving and you will be understanding what I am saying. But looking into how we process those items that we understand right now, encode them and store them to the long-term memory, okay, gives us a good sense that our brain cells are said to be functioning that much because we were able to come up with a good folder, so-called folder of understanding based on this kind of learning experiences that we had. Okay, and in context of brain in the context of how the brain science is suggesting us how we learn is that the long-term memory is very essential in order for to give us a good way of retrieving in which particular folder of understanding, okay, we can retrieve that kind of information and then use that to come up with mechanism in order to address the constructive disequilibrium that we experience, okay, based on the new information that we gather. Okay. So we have to understand about working memory and long-term memory. I guess some of us were able to watch the animated film Inside Out. Sige nga po, just to break, kasi nga baka marami na ako nabanggit, no? Ilan po sa atin dito nakapanood ng um, animated film na Inside Out? Yung part 1 lang muna po. Okay, type 1 kapag napanood nyo na po yon, and type 0 kapag hindi nyo pa po napapanood. Okay. Okay, sa mga nakapanood na po, I guess you can relate with me na we were given the impression there about yung fading memories natin. Tapos may mga tinatawag tayong core memories. Okay, mga core memories, naka-file sila ng maayos sa ano natin, no? Naka-file siya ng maayos. And for every time that, for example, a very significant, a new information or a new experience is being introduced to us, eventually we were able to locate on a particular part of our long-term memory, that kind of core memory that is related to that kind of new experience that is confronted to we are confronted with. Okay. On the other hand, there are informations, there are items that are part of our fading memory. At doon sa pelikulang Inside Out, nandoon sila sa abyss part, no? Tendency, and the color of the memory is said to be grayish or darkish in nature for the reason that we tend to forget. Okay. And right now, I think for the past 20 minutes that I am already share, past 40 minutes, maybe a portion of what I have said, you just simply remember it. Okay, not all of those items that I'm sharing are not significant to you. Okay, not unless you are taking notes. Therefore, in that sense, there's a good way for you to reprocess your understanding um with what I am saying. Okay, and then reflecting eventually later on how you will be using it to your teaching. Okay, so the those scenarios in the film Inside Out gave me a reflection on how we are using those core memories that are part of our long-term memory, and how these memories are considered part of our long-term memory. And the main essence of this is that they are meaningful. Okay? Naging parte ka ng ganong experience. Naranasan mo yung experience na yon. Naging significant sa iyo yung experience na yon. So what does it imply on our end, dear teachers? Okay? Um, Having an experience also in teaching in a PEI, at the same time experimenting how to teach in PEI, gave me one reflection that students with good and meaningful prior experiences can provide you meaningful responses to your um, to your question, whether your questions are low order thinking questions or high order thinking questions, where students with least meaningful learning experiences, okay, can simply provide you until this much. Okay? So, nandoon sa magiging learning experiences niya, kung gaano ka-meaningful yon, will help him or her to really transfer that experience from working memory, subjected then and storing it to long-term memory, and how students are given um, exercises, how students are given learning experiences so that they can able to come up with mechanisms on retrieving it. Okay. In some studies, we have this idea of epistemological resources. These are our sources of knowledge. Okay, part of our the sources of knowledge are what the teachers provided to our students. Okay, and there are a lot of literature suggesting that there are teachers who provide meaningful learning engagement, provide meaningful learning understanding to our students, and teachers who provided misconceptions to our students also are the concepts that the students are carrying, okay, inside the classroom. Okay. Now, therefore, in that context, what are its implications? We have to adjust the level of our teaching to the students' learning progression. And that's evident across those teachers who we interviewed in the Matatag pilot implementation. Okay, they recalibrate their lesson design for the reason that some of the items are not some of the concepts students are not familiar with, therefore they have to re-inject some items because it will help them, it will help their students to really understand what they are teaching. Others have some forms of drills so that students have better understanding of the mathematical processes that they will be experiencing after the drill. Okay. Now they also uh, capitalize on what the learners already know about and what they can do. Okay, though we do understand that there are some interventions, but teachers really capitalize or bank on, okay, on what the learners already know and what they can do. And then there are mechanisms that we have to improve how the working memory will be able to encode and store the information going to the long-term memory. And one good practice is through the context of deliberate practice. Diba? Kaya si Carlos Yulo ay gumaling kasi paulit-ulit at pabago-bago yung intensity din ng kanyang ginagawang practice. Okay? So in our context, being a teacher, we have really to do a lot of practice for our students in order for these practice experiences that they had, okay, will be translated into meaningful learning and understanding of the concepts. Okay. Now, we also needed to emphasize about cognitive loading. Now, necessary load for learning new information? Yes. Okay. Load that comes from transferring information into long-term memory? Yes, we have to understand that. But load not necessary for what is being taught. Um, may mga proseso na dapat tayo isagawa. How do we really make sure that everything that we wanted to check or we wanted our students to learn ay natutunan nila. At base sa pag-aaral din, we have to understand about the concept of lower order thinking skills and higher order thinking skills. Now, looking into the framework of Solo, we have the understanding of surface and deep learning. Now, in surface learning, most of the time, students are coming up with one key idea, okay, or they have a number of independent ideas. Therefore, their understanding is described to be in unistructural and multistructural level, respectively. However, we wanted also our students to realize that they have to link those ideas together to make it sure that they are coherent and it make good sense of the subject matter that you are teaching, and also to extend those ideas, apply them into new situation so that their understanding be described as deep. And in terms of solo level, it describes relational and extended abstract respectively. However, much that we wanted our students really to develop their understanding or their deep understanding, they cannot really come up with a deep understanding without, okay, developing their surface learning or their surface understanding. Okay. Therefore, it is essential that these lower order thinking skills should be evident also in our teaching in order that it will prepare our students as they encounter higher order thinking questions, tasks, and the likes. Okay. Therefore, it gives us now that we have to chunk information. Okay. We have to identify, okay, what are those ideas that the students needed to learn, but we have to chunk them one at a time. Okay. So parang ano lang yan eh. Sige nga po, mabilisan. Okay. Paano po natin isosolve yung um, pag-understand niyo po ng inyong mobile number? Sige nga po. Anong ginagawa ninyo para maintindihan po natin o matandaan ninyo yung mobile number ninyo? Okay. Yes. We do chunking. Okay, as mentioned by Sir Fernando. Okay, 'di ba? Paano natin china-chunk 'yon? We chunk with the first four numbers and then the two sets of three numbers. Okay? So, that's why it is necessary. Yes, thank you from Ma'am Flora, no? We chunk them into 4-3-4. Okay, pwede rin 'yon, 'di ba? Na segmentation. Okay? So, ganun yung part para ang estudyante naiintindihan niya ang malaking concept na dinideliver natin. Okay, na gusto natin na matutunan nila. So we do chunking. Next, we also set examples. Okay? Examples, particularly in math, di ba? We demonstrate how these problems are solved. Okay? So we have to show and demonstrate. Okay? Sabi nga, show examples to students, demonstrate how to do tasks with the students. Dapat kasama natin sila. So pag tayo ay nagbibigay ng mga scenarios, nagbibigay ng explanation, we can provide prompt questions. Okay, so that while we are discussing, students may able to come up with ways of listing possible answers to our prompt questions. Okay, and also we look into building foundational skills. So sa tingin niyo po ba, sa inyong mga learning area, eto tatanungin ko po kayo, no, pwede niyong ilagay learning area nyo muna, tapos identify lang kahit na isa o dalawang foundational skills na importanteng ma-develop muna sa ating mga estudyante before we expect them to really do some analysis, some production or creation of products, okay, some form of synthesis. So pakitype in, dear teachers. Okay, in science, we do observation skills. Very good. Kasi importante to, no? That the students know what are those things that they have to observe and how they are using. For reading, it's comprehension. Others, okay, basic science process skills. Kasi nga po, no, in literature, there is integrated science process skills. Okay, sa araling panlipunan, pagbabasa at pag-iintindi. Okay, thank you, Sir Gerald. Okay, in early childhood, they mentioned about developing developmental milestones. So hindi kaagad natin binibigay yung mga mabibigat na context, no? In math, basic operations before we provide thinking skills. I think, Sir Dexter. Okay? So balikan ko lang, no, yung una nating part dito, that in order for other complicated or higher order thinking skills, we need to ensure that the lower order thinking skills are developed. Okay? So sabi nga po, basic structure of sentence or word order in for English before we ask them really to come up with a narration or the likes. Okay. Now, aside from that, we have also to emphasize that in recent years we were given a good impression that we have to emphasize how our students are thinking and how they are monitoring the way they are learning, and that's part of metacognition. Sabi nga nila, they look, I mean to say, according to literature, okay, they emphasize on investigating on what the students are noticing, if they are able to identify patterns, ano yung iniisip nila, okay? What they are seeing, what they are thinking, and what they are feeling. Because we do understand that students have also a way of processing, okay, their thinking. They are also good mechanisms on how we can recalibrate and come up with a way of setting directions so that the students can steer up and look into mechanism on how they can redirect their learning. So, importante na we ask our students to plan. Importante na maisagawa natin at mapagawa natin sa bata na they monitor their learning. At the same time, at the end, to evaluate what they have learned and how they learn. Hindi lang ano yung natutunan, pero paano sila natuto. Maybe because on the idea that the process on they are learning, we needed also to reinforce and also needed other stakeholders to help us, okay, in reinforcing learning. Okay. So in that sense, we focus on learning, not on teaching. I mean to say, we focus on learning, not on teachers and not on learners. Again, we focus on learning, okay, the content and the thinking about the content. Okay. So these are the major items that the cognitive science provided us. Okay, we were able to have the understanding that the brain growth is developmental. Learning is established by the networks of new by establishing or enhancing neural networks in the brain. We also able to understand how the working and the long-term memory are working. We also have the good understanding that there is specific capacity of our brain to understand skills, okay, to understand what we are given to them, what we are are explaining to them what they are exploring, if we provide them learning engagement and learning activities, we also understand that in order for us to enhance higher order thinking skills, we needed to enhance and develop lower order thinking skills. And we have to provide avenues where our students are reflecting and understanding. Let me rephrase my statement. There should be avenue for our students to plan out, to execute and monitor their learning, at the same time to reflect what they are learning. So in that sense, okay, we were able to identify different implications to instruction by adjusting our teaching to students' learning progress, building from what the students learned, uh, improve, okay, working memory through deliberate practice, chunking the information, showing our students examples and demonstrating them how to do the task, and building foundational skills. Now, how are these instructional implications are manifested, okay? Okay? Or integrated in the Matatag curriculum? Sabi dito sa question to, why is science of learning aligned with the Matatag curriculum expectations? Because, as mentioned, the following principles of learning as emphasized in the curriculum are the following: that learning is not possible in an overcrowded curriculum. That's why we tend to decongest it. Okay, learning competencies must be age appropriate. Okay, learning starts from what the learners already know, and it involves progression from simple to complex. Okay, so with these principles, we will able to answer this question: how is science of learning integrated in the Matatag learning resource lesson design? So we look back into the 6 principles that we introduced, and earlier, I introduced the 4 sections of teaching and learning procedure of the lesson design. Okay, but we also identified ways for our students to really evaluate their learning and for teachers to do some reflections. So there are additional 3 components in the evaluating learning segment of the lesson design. So let me provide you an overview of the lesson exemplar design that were used, okay, or currently used by the grades 4 and 10, okay, of the Matatag curriculum. Okay. Um, Section 1, focusing on the curriculum content, standards, and lesson competencies. So these are just a translation into objectives of the competencies, and to see that the learning objectives and competencies are aligned to the content and performance standards of that particular quarter. And we identify the content and the possible integration of different topics or themes or advocacies to the present learning objectives set for this lesson design. Okay. Now, the second component of the lesson design, are the different lesson um, resources. These can be in the forms of books, magazines, articles, media texts, and e-resources that our writers and validators were able to identify, because we all know that there are concerns on the textbooks, at the same time on the availability of other resources. Okay, so we put as much kind of resources so that the teachers will able to look into and verify much of those items. Okay. Um, okay. Okay. I am reading Ma'am Rita's okay, comment. Okay. I'll be back for that. Now, on lesson number 3, I mean to say in component number 3, okay, which is on the teaching and learning procedure, the first part is really focusing on activating prior knowledge. At ang translation natin sa Filipino, dahil itong template na to ay may dalawang version, may English at merong Filipino versions, para po we were able to address learning areas that use Filipino as their medium of instruction. Okay. In activating prior knowledge, we have 2 major features: the short review and the feedback. So the short review is our way of recalling the previous concepts that they learned, And the feedback, but it's optional, it's giving qualitative feedback on the performance or products that are part of the homework given previously by the teacher on the previous and even to the new lesson that they will be discussing. So the main principle of science of learning there is to link what the learner knows with what he or she needs to know. So that's why it is important that there is this segment where we activate their prior knowledge. Okay. Second, the second component of lesson design 3 is the establishing lesson purpose or paglalahad ng layunin. Here, we have two subparts: establishing reasons for learning in the lesson and unlocking content vocabulary. Okay, here we wanted to draw our learners why it is important to learn the new lesson and for us to introduce words or phrases that will be used, okay, in developing the concept that we wanted to the main key ideas and concepts that are part of the lesson. In this sense, we are preparing our learners for what is to come, okay, and providing learners the necessary language that the teacher will be using. So that, for example, if they will be studying in biology, the concepts of abiotic and biotic factors, if these concepts are very new to the students, during this part, a preliminary introduction of what's abiotic and abiotic factors, okay, in ecosystem can be a good springboard for the students so that when you are discussing when you are already in the discussion or in the explanation part of your instruction, when you are mentioning the term abiotic and biotic factors, students have already a preliminary understanding of those terms. Or even, for example, the term context clues when it is used in English, okay? And you provide simple examples of context clues in this part, but the thorough discussion will be on the next phase of the instruction. Therefore, when you are using the term context clues, then it will be very evident for the students, okay, what are those items that you are using, okay? Sabi nga dito ni Ma'am Rosario, activate the prior knowledge ay pinapagana ang dating kaalaman at inuugnay sa bagong kaalaman o konsepto o natutuhan. Agree, Professor Taruk, for giving us that elaboration. Now, it is important that these words or these phrases or these key ideas are presented prior from the idea that we are deepening the lesson, because if there is no such kind of layer of instruction where we introduce this concept, then the students, when we deal them with the deepening portion of the concept, then they will be find it more confusing why or what is the meaning of that concept all about. Okay. It's a good way for directing our students on the language that we will be using, on the words that they will be confronted with as we go on to the next section of our lesson. Okay. Now, in the lesson part, developing and deepening understanding o paglilinang at pagpapalalim ng pagkaunawa, there are three major subsections: the explicitation, the work example, and the lesson activity. Here, the main principle of the science of learning is that developing the idea of the lesson, working on an example, and of the application. So we proceed here. The explicitation is providing a situation for the topic in context and having learners talk about the topic, okay? And it's a way of processing their initial understanding. So evident to sa ating mga ginagawa. So what we are sharing with you is to do a good structure, okay? By after introducing the different phrases and key ideas that the students needed to understand, then we provide a situation where those ideas and key words that we introduce are baseline for the students to answer and to do that initial way of situating the lessons that they will be understanding or they will be exploring eventually. So yun nga ang term natin dito. This is our way of processing their initial idea about the new concept. Okay. Now, okay, thank you, Dr. Quinto. Okay. Okay. Now, in the work example, this is our segment of instruction where we involve learners' deliberate effort to develop understanding of the topic by hearing or talking about it and applying their knowledge and skills or understanding, but the term is guided practice. Okay, so this can be in a form of preliminary of our experiments, doing some preliminary modeling, guided practice, as mentioned here, elaboration, and even looking into the possible errors that the students are committing when they are working with the examples. Okay, a good manifestation of this is, for example, when we are providing our students a good way of solving, example in math, a binomial equation, okay, and looking into the factors of it. Aside from you discussing it, you make it sure that your students are engaged with you. So we provide an avenue for the students that they are solving with you. So that if you provide another set of example for this, they have an initial understanding and initial way of processing what they have learned from you. So the good term here is guided practice. It is essential that the students are doing the things we wanted them to accomplish, but they are doing it with you. Okay. I can still recall part of my early experience teaching in the Department of Education that when I am teaching mathematical problems and solving items in physics, the first two items are always a form of guided practice. Looking and asking my students to visualize the problems, but I provided initial inputs. Then they try to, as I mentioned, they try to visualize it, come up with illustrations, and put some arrows for the concept of vectors, and then the mathematical procedures step by step. We explore it when we ask, and I ask them what are the different principles of this mathematical expression or equation that we are confronted with, and how it is related to their prior math experience or even on the math experience that they have on that year level. Okay, until such time that we were able to come up with the with the final answer, but looking again on our previous concept about significant figures, so we come up with the more acceptable final answer. Okay, so it's a matter of guiding our students of doing it. Kaya nga importante, sabi natin kanina, show examples and demonstrate how to do the task. And again, showing them and demonstrating the task is a good way of emphasizing guided practice. Okay. Now, the third layer is the lesson activity, where students are given multiple and varied examples, and we have to do it repetitively so that there will be a strong establishing of neural networks, uh, so that the students will able to connect their previous experiences, what they experienced earlier, and what they are experiencing right now. And the main context here is we let them to do independently. We let them also do independently, but also collaboratively. And this is in a form of extended practice. Again, paulit-ulit, pero paiba-iba, pero dapat binibigyan natin sila ng time, okay, for them to really learn the lesson. Okay? Okay. Now, in that sense, okay, after giving them this kind of learning activities, we have to make it sure that there is a way to check, okay, what the students have learned. Okay, that's why there should be a portion of the instruction where we ask our students what are their takeaways, okay, concepts, okay, that they have learned, the processes also of how they learn. That's why in the making generalization, we look into the takeaways of the students, what are their key takeaways, what are the key concepts that they have learned, and what are the processes of their learning. reflecting on learning? Are they really monitoring? Are they evaluating their learning? Are they planning out how they learn? So these are the things that we have to emphasize. Here, we allow our learners to write or to talk about the ideas that they have learned. Okay. And after the different practices or different learning activities that they accomplish, but at the same time, we look into how learners, okay, learned. Okay, we look into the processes. We look onto what are the gains and what are the challenges that they experience when they are learning. Okay? So tingin ko po, okay, tanong ko po sa inyo. Okay, ngayon, para break tayo, parang way of chunking din ito. Ang tanong ko ngayon ay, sa inyong learning area po, dear teachers, what seems to be the main challenge why students have difficulty in learning our content? Okay? Again, okay, dear teachers, again, my question is, what are the challenges that you experience or even based on literature that prompted or caused difficulty for our students in learning our subject matter? Okay. Thank you, Dr. Quinto, for sharing your insights, sharing your knowledge on the different segments of my discussion din po. Now, looking into here for chemistry, abstract ang concept. Okay, may mga learning gaps. Okay, not enough time to process the subject matter. Okay, lack of equipment. Okay, poor encoding, poor reading comprehension. Okay, don't have the mastery of the basic skills. They can't relate it with everyday life, teacher-centered, okay, technicalities for comprehension. Okay, so we have those kind of learning, we identify those learning challenges of our students. Maybe part of that also is that we have to make it sure that we recalibrate our instructional practices. Okay? Now, one key striking response here is the lack of time in order for students to really accomplish. Okay? And I agree with you. Kung titingnan ho natin, mabigat po ang iba't ibang lesson components. Okay, kung babalikan ko, di ba, nag-start tayo ng activating prior knowledge, tapos nag-establish tayo ng lesson purpose, tapos sa context ng developing and deepening understanding, may subtopics, may components pa tayo ng explicitation, work example, and lesson activity. And we cannot do this all. Okay? And even do sa evaluation, making generalization, no? And evaluating what the students have learned, yung pagtataya. We cannot do all of these things in the given instructional period. Sa DepEd ngayon, there have 45 minutes, okay, of instruction. And this has been a a concern for a lot of our DepEd teachers. But let me emphasize that these lesson components should not be experienced in one day. Remember, learning is developmental. Therefore, in the lesson design, we emphasize that we have to realize that when we are designing the lesson exemplars, we have to ensure and we have to visualize that up to what extent the teachers and the students can cover and can learn this kind of instruction. Therefore, sabihin na natin po, ang isang concept ay merong dalawang sub-concepts. Okay? So therefore, dalawang layers yung explicitation, work example, at lesson activity. Sabihin na natin po, no? Kung titignan natin, teachers, magkakaroon ng cognitive overloading ang bata. Kung lahat ng learning segments or lahat ng phases of instruction, ibibigay lang ho natin sa iisang araw. Okay? So that's why it is important that we chunk and we have to recognize also that there are mechanisms on how we can scaffold learning. Therefore, pwedeng day 1 natin ay hanggang work example lang. Okay? Hanggang work example ang day 1 natin. Kasi sa day 2, magre-recall ka ulit kung ano yung natutunan ninyo, magbibigay ka na isang sample ng work example before you introduce a new lesson activity. Okay? so that the first experience for day one will be scaffolded and reinforced by what he or she will be learning for the next day. Okay? And posible, sabi na natin, that lesson activity has three subsets of activities. Kasi merong kang pa station 1, may pa station 2, may pa station 3. And it can cover already 45 minutes of your instructional period. Therefore, it is expected for you to come up with a recall again of the first and the second day, what they have learned, okay, and come up with ways or mechanisms for the students to reflect on what are the key ideas that they have learned and how they are learning. Therefore, before you proceed also in evaluating their learning, to check also how effective is your instruction and by how much proficient the students are learning from the 3-day instruction that you are providing. So teachers, okay, this is a good way for us to reinvent, and this is a good way for us to recalibrate our practices, okay, on how we can really train our future teachers, we can train ourselves, and we can translate these trainings that we have, okay, and make it sure that the students are really mastering the concept and really mastering the process, the skills that they needed to master. Now, but aside from taking and evaluating the students' learning by providing them different assessment practices, assessment methods, and tools, and providing them homework as a form of extended deliberate practice, though it is an optional subcomponent of evaluating, teachers must also realize that a good way to support his or her self professionally and personally is to do reflective practice. Okay? That's why in the lesson component, okay, in the lesson and there's a specific lesson component, okay, where we ask our teachers to do annotations and reflections of what have transpired, okay, in their instruction. So they have to note what are those relevant observations, um, and to take note also the challenges. And these challenges, okay, and these items that they place as part of their reflections can be used as input to the next session, okay, which is collaborative expertise session, okay, or commonly known as part of the LAC session or the learning action cell sessions of our DepEd teachers. Okay, we must, in order to improve ourselves, we must realize that there are items that we needed to recalibrate. And a good way to recalibrate is to take note of those items, do reflective practice, okay, reflective teaching. Okay, so how can we maximize the use of Matatag learning resource to enhance teaching practice and improve learning outcomes? Okay, is through the context of adaptation and to do some reflection and to do some creation. To adapt, okay, nandiyan na ang learning resources, pag-aralan natin, okay, and then kapag ni-redesign natin, ni-recalibrate natin at in-implement, okay, or in toto natin ginamit, we reflect. Okay? After that is to recreate. Okay? Create. Okay, so doing these three basic principles of having adaptation, reflection, and creation can be of good practice on how we can really maximize the use of the Matatag learning resources. Okay, they are available. Okay, and part of the learning resources are our lesson exemplars. Again, these lesson exemplars are model lesson plans, okay, which are application of a particular lesson design. Okay, now the exemplar suggests model strategies and content unpacking. Okay, and it's a good way to guide our teachers on how they will be implementing the instruction. Okay, part of the lesson exemplar template, there is a certain rightmost column. and that is notes to teachers. The notes to teachers provided a good way for our teachers to redesign, to reschedule the sequence. There are some portions that we provided annotations on how the teachers may able to further enhance, I mean to say, further improve, or other possible sources that they can use in their instruction. Okay? Now, aside from that, sabi nga doon, it provided the lesson exemplar provides activities, formats, content presentation, assessment tasks, rubrics, and resources on how you will model out the way that you will be doing your lesson. Okay, so the design of the lesson exemplars developed for grades 4 to 10 integrates, okay, the science of learning principles. And that's one way of recalibrating, as I mentioned, our practice. We already have this set of practice, but maybe some of our instructional practices are not really linked to effective learning of our students. That's why we have to recalibrate and make it sure that they are aligned on how the brain is working. Okay. And we wanted also that why we are providing this template, it's because we wanted to lessen the variability on the learning experiences of our students across the country. Okay. But again, we do understand that there are concerns on contextualization, and there are contexts of flexibility. Therefore, if we're going to apply the idea of contextualization and flexibility, and there is this lesson exemplar, putting them together, giving us a good sense of how we can best uh, um, teach and model out the instruction for this particular lesson. Okay? Now, with that, teachers, sabi nga natin, mukhang nauna yung statement ko, no? So the use of lesson exemplar allows for flexible adaptability of the instructional delivery. Teachers are highly encouraged to modify and to explore other alternatives, as mentioned, specific to the needs of your learners and to your own specific contextual backgrounds. Okay, so there is that level of flexibility, and we see it on the grounds. The teachers really have that when they receive the lesson plans, they not simply rely on the lesson plans, but there are teachers who really use it just to test up to what extent that they can apply the lesson exemplars. But there are some teachers who are coming up with some, how do we describe this? There are some layers that they tend to add or to remove some of the items because and resequence. There are those teachers that they resequence because they have the understanding that if I do it, it can best help my students learn more, and not learn more, learn effectively the lesson. Okay. Okay. Now, with that here, teachers, the lesson exemplar also goes with learning activity sheets. Okay, these are instructional materials that provides learning support to our learners. Okay, aside from the lesson plans that the lesson exemplars that the teachers capture some of those items and place them into their multimedia presentation, we also provided learning activity sheets so that the students have a good way of practicing. Okay, where guided practice and deliberate practice are emphasized in the lesson design. Okay, as mentioned here, the learning activity sheets developed for grades 4 to 10 provided activities to prepare for new content, to do deliberate practice, and applying their skills, creating outputs, and performing or coming up with performance task assessment. So in this context, dear teachers, somehow the lesson resources or the learning resources provided by the team, okay, for the implementation of the pilot curriculum of DepEd's Matatag curriculum, um, uh, is a way of helping our teachers, okay, in easing their preparation, at the same time in looking into possible resources that they will be needed, that they need for a more meaningful learning experience to their students. Okay. Now, Okay, hinga muna po tayo sa lahat. Okay, thank you Sir Mel um for some of your concerns shared on our chat box. Now, um okay. Now, what is the common concern of our teachers when we go to the ground in the pilot implementation? Okay. What do you think are the common um, experiences of these teachers? Okay. Kindly type down on our chat box what do you think are their prior understanding or their initial reaction upon knowing that they will be implementing the new curriculum. Sa tingin po ninyo, no, yun na, I rephrase my statement or my question. Para sa tingin niyo po, ano sa tingin niyo po ang initial reactions ng mga teachers, okay, they were, uh, when they heard the news that their schools will be part of the pilot implementation of the Matatag curriculum? Okay? Agree po ako dyan, ma'am. More training to the ground for them to do the process. Difficult to change the routines. Yes, dagdag trabaho na naman. Yan ang nabanggit na rin. May mga apprehensions na surprise, tensionado, form of adjustments. Okay?
Error na lang, boss.
Yes. Bagong process flow, may mga negative reactions, added burden, okay, adjustments, okay, last, ano natin, may form of resistance, okay. When we ask them, both school heads and teachers, part of their responses will be in a form of may negative at may positive. It's a mix. Okay? A conglomeration nga po of anxiousness. As you mentioned, they feel there is a form of additional adjustment on them. They were surprised. They have some apprehensions. But excuse me for that. But at the end of the conversation we had with them, they are grateful that they experienced it because they were able to test the waters. They were able to check also their capacities. Okay? Tawag dito, part of the report is that isa sa na-note ko talaga sa lahat ng schools na napuntahan ko po, parang in terms of commitment and dedication, I give high regards to these teachers. They do understand that implementing a new curriculum implies changes on their practices. Okay, and there is also this set of competencies that they needed to demonstrate, okay, when they are implementing the curriculum. But the sense that they are committed, the sense that they are highly dedicated in implementing the curriculum is ano talaga po, highly regarded. Part of the discussion and part of the results that we had is this. Collaborative expertise sessions, they describe it as one of the best practices that they had when they are implementing the Matatag curriculum. In this case, we highlighted that the CES is a good way for them to address the different instructional challenges, whether it is on the grade level or within the learning area that they are teaching. And it's a good way for them to share their best practices. They were given the impression and the feeling that they are empowered to be curriculum designers in their classroom settings. This is a good way for them to support, though we know that there are a lot of birth pains, there are a lot of challenges. As you mentioned, it's a form of adjustment, but being together, okay, is a good sense that they are not alone in the struggle at the same time in doing this and implementing the new curriculum. Another key idea of why why they address or why they describe CES as one of their best practices, because they were able to identify good lesson activities. They were able to describe now, oh, this is a better lesson design. This is a better lesson procedure. This is a better way of doing these things. Because for a time, I may be too complacent that my instructional strategies are good, but may not be that effective. Then listening and hearing from others on how they are teaching and how we collaborate, okay, in designing a lesson is something new for most. Okay, even there are excerpts of our interviews that it's their first time to do collaborative lesson designing, to have that kind of sense of responsibility that I have to do my task because other teachers are also doing their tasks when they are assigned to do lessons from day 1 to day 4. Okay. Now, collaborative expertise session structure for based on our study, they have identified specific structure and they were given different roles, but the roles that they are observing, they tend to rotate it so that everybody has the experience of facilitating, documenting, and being the lead. Okay. Now, it exhibits basic understanding of their content and the processes on how they will be implementing the curriculum, and ensures that they have resolutions and agreements if there are some concerns that they experience during the conduct of the lesson that they implement. Okay. So, um, part of the lesson study that they are implementing, okay, or this kind of community of practice, okay, is that um they experience instructional problems, they have to do some intervention, and they have to share their best practices. Some, okay, of the responses mentioned that because of collaborative expertise sessions, they were able to enhance positively their abilities on the use of ICT. They were able to assess what are the things that work well and what are the things that are challenging. They co-design, they co-develop, and they co-contextualize their instructional materials. And they provide alternative teaching strategies. Okay. Now, aside from that, they also discuss how to provide constructive critiques and evaluation of the content and learning activities of the curriculum. They were able to discuss also learners who are not performing well and having some difficulties and issues on attendance and behaviors. They also use this time to, when they group together themselves, to discuss possible school activities that involve external stakeholders, particularly, sabi ko nga dito, on small schools. Now, in the context of collaborative expertise, these are the key features why collaborative expertise is described to be as one of their best practices. Okay? Because they acknowledge significant influence of these grouping and coming together and discussing what they want, what will be the lesson and how the lesson will be implemented. By in that sense, it's a good way for them to ensure that they are improving their instructional competencies, and it lessens their burden in preparing their instructional materials because teacher 1 will be in charge for lesson 1 for day 1, teacher 2 for day 2, teacher 3 for day 3, teacher 4 for day 4. But everybody has to present our outputs and our multimedia presentation, our learning activities, okay, based on the lesson exemplars, okay? And in that sense, there is a co-shared responsibility, a sense of co-sharing of responsibility and accountability. And here we tend to direct to perform different roles and tasks, okay, that everybody has equal voices, everybody is given priorities, everybody is given opportunity to lead and to take notes and to do the different roles assigned to them. And also, um, part of our documentation is that we were able to see how teachers and school heads develop the sense of sharing accountability when they are identifying challenges and when they are providing interventions and solutions. Okay. In literature, okay, we do understand that when we implement new curricular reforms, there are significant requirements to do adaptations in our teaching practices. When PPST was introduced, there's also another way for us to recalibrate our practice. When new curriculum reforms are introduced, we have to also adjust our practice. But one good way to address those issues that we are dealing is for us to improve what we call collective teacher efficacy. Sabi nga po sa literature, collective approaches among teachers have become increasingly important, okay, in successful school improvement. Where schools with higher collective teacher efficacy, okay, tend to have more positive school climates, higher student achievement, and greater teacher job satisfaction. Okay? So how do we translate this context? How do we translate these principles of collective teacher efficacy? And if we look into literature, particularly on the visible learning of Jan Hattie, when they come up with the meta-analysis of different factors influencing and really capitalizing on those factors that have significant influence on student achievement, one of the highest of them is collective teacher efficacy with 1.57 effect size. So why is it important? Because this sense of shared accountability to enhance practice is being translated by teachers in Matatag curriculum through what we call collaborative expertise sessions. And this is, as I mentioned earlier, is an iteration of the principles of the Learning Action Cell. So we know that based on DepEd Order 35 series of 2016, that the community of practice, principles of community of practice, even of the lesson studies, are included in the context of Learning Action Cell. Now, in the Matatag curriculum, we try to contextualize that in the context of collaborative expertise sessions, where teachers, after their instruction, okay, either on Monday or Friday, they come together for what purpose? For the purpose of reviewing what happened during the previous week, co-designing the lesson exemplar, and identifying concerns and solutions for these concerns. So the CES has proven effective in promoting teacher collaboration, and it is evidenced by the positive reception by our teachers who participated in the pilot implementation of the Matatag curriculum. Most of the teachers here mentioned that they positively give remarks to CES because they experience co-planning, co-teaching, and co-reflection in developing shared instructional practices and resources. Therefore, in that collaboration of our teachers, the learning experiences of Section A to Section 8 or Section A to Section 40 will be of less variances of there will be less variability on the lesson and the learning experiences that they will be having, for the reason that although there may be some recalibration, because we do understand that learners have different learning development, but the experience what Section A to Section D will be of the same, because teachers are co-designing and teachers will be co-implementing the same kind of learning activities that they all agreed to utilize for that particular lesson. Teachers claim that this collaborative approach has improved their teaching and learning and contributed a good or a stronger sense of community in the school. They were able to build a good sense of belongingness po. So in that sense, what is said to be important is that we were able also to listen to their practices. They were given opportunities to understand how to further improve and to use okay, a more appropriate learning activities, and they were given opportunities, okay, to co-develop, and that provided them a good positive impact that they are part of the school itself. Okay, I can vividly recall in two schools that I visited, they were able to really form a good bonding. Now, the question is how we can sustain this kind of practice. That's why it is important that for the school heads to redesign and come up with a more structured form of collaborative expertise sessions. Now, as I mentioned here, that this approach, the collaborative expertise session, is our way of targeting the give support to teachers, okay, under the Matatag agenda. Okay. Now, more particularly, we were able to come up with themes, okay, why it is significant for us to do the collaborative expertise sessions. First is that we were able to look into professional development and collaboration learning experiences among teachers. The second one is on focusing on positive leadership and accountability among teachers and school heads, and the positive impact of collaborative expertise sessions on learners and of the community. Okay. This will be this presentation is part of the primer that DepEd will be releasing the context of the collaborative expertise sessions. Now, we were able also to look into the possible roles of the different participants of the collaborative expertise sessions, mainly the teachers, and we highlighted what are the things that we are expecting them to observe when they are participating this kind of sessions. Primarily, they are the main actors of CES, and part of them is that they have to exchange their effective practices. They have to present and critique their lessons, discuss issues, provide also solutions, analyze results, and to plan interventions. But we all know that in a movie, if there's a lead actor or actress, there should be supporting roles. And we needed the assistance of our school heads, our master teachers, and even our education program supervisors and program school district supervisors, where they will be overseeing and evaluating the implementation of CES, leading and mentoring fellow teachers, and providing technical assistance during the conduct of the collaborative expertise sessions, respectively. So I guess I have come up with a discussion of the overview of Matatag curriculum, giving you an impression why it is important that we incorporate the principles of the science of learning in the lesson design of the Matatag curriculum, and why it is important for teachers to do collaborative expertise sessions. And I guess the next meeting that we will be joining together on September 17 will provide us more ideas of its implication